Hello, my name is Keith, and these are my stamps. Episode 18, Armenia and the Transcaucasian Federation. Armenia is in Western Asia, bordering Europe, in the Caucasus region, between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. It's a mountainous country with nearly 86% of the country identified as mountainous, which is more than both Switzerland and Nepal. It borders Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Iran. Size-wise, it's similar to Belgium, a little larger than Massachusetts at nearly 30,000 square kilometres. There are 3 million people, which is similar to Wales or Puerto Rico. The capital is Yerevan. The language, Armenian, with their own alphabet. And you can see I've copied, hopefully, the name of Armenia in Armenian on this slide. The name for Armenia in Armenian is Hayastan, coming from the great-great-grandson of Noah through his son Japheth, Hay. The meanings of the word Armenia, there is quite a lot of discussion about this. There are three main hypotheses. One is from the ancient kingdom in the region Armani, another from a different ancient kingdom in the southern part called Arme, and the third of the perhaps most popular theories is it comes from Aram, going back to the Bible, son of Shem, so a different son of Noah. Noah's Ark, if you have read the Bible, supposedly landed on Mount Ararat. Mount Ararat currently not in Armenia, it's just over the border in Turkey, but it is visible from Yerevan and it is seen as a huge cultural symbol, both literally and figuratively, for Armenia. There is lots and lots of different discussions about the meaning of the word Armenia, so you can take your pick. I'll put links to the main websites that I used for the history and for the stamps of Armenia in the description. The history, beginning in the 9th century BC, the first kingdom of Armenia. In 782 BC, Yerevan, the capital, was founded, making it one of the oldest cities. Between 95 and 55 BC, the Artashizian dynasty, and with the Armenian Empire reaching its greatest size and power under Tigran the Great. Between 66 and 428 AD, Armenia was under Persian and Byzantine rule. In 301 AD, so during this time, Armenia was the first state to adopt Christianity as its official religion. 451, Armenia fell under Arab domination. Between 884 and 1045, there were Turkish, Mongol, and Turkmen rulers. In 1639, Armenia was divided into a western section and an eastern part. The western part was ruled by Turkey and the eastern by Persia. In 1828, this situation had got so tense that it was raised, the Armenian question, at the Berlin Congress, where East Armenia joined Russia and the West became part of the Ottoman Empire. In 1878, the first Armenian political party was formed. 1915 was the start of the Armenian genocide by the Ottoman Empire, with estimates of up to 1.5 million people killed. Many Armenians fled to other countries, hence the large diaspora. It must be noted that the official Turkish view is that this genocide didn't happen, but pretty much everybody else agrees that it did. 1918, following the Russian Revolution, the independence of Little Armenia was proclaimed, being the first Armenian republic. In 1920, the state was incorporated into the USSR. In 1922, it became part of the Transcaucasian Federation with Azerbaijan and Georgia, but this didn't last very long. And at the end of 1923, Armenia became the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic within the USSR. While still in the USSR, the area of Karabakh, which is an autonomous region of Azerbaijan, voted to unify with Armenia because of its predominant Armenian population. Armenia knows this area as Artsakh and has actually produced stamps with that name, also known internationally as Nagorno-Karabakh. In 1991, the Soviet troops invaded Azerbaijan in order to restore order to do with the problems in the Karabakh region. Armenia voted for independence as the Soviet Union crumbled, and Karabakh declared itself an independent state, which wasn't really recognized by very many people aside from Armenia. In 1992, Armenia was admitted to the United Nations. In 2020, there was a 6-week war with Azerbaijan about the Karabakh region. And in 2023, Azerbaijan regained control of the Nagorno-Karabakh area. The stamp issuing history. Briefly independent between 1919 and 1920, where Russian stamps were overprinted. In 1921, one set as a Soviet republic was issued just for Armenia. 1922-1923, there were issues released for Armenia within the Transcaucasian Federation, and then it became part of the Soviet Union. From 1992 until present, it's been an independent country, releasing its own stamps. The currency has followed that, so from 1918 to 19 was the first Transcaucasian ruble, which was pretty much the Russian ruble. From 1919 to 1923, the Armenian ruble. From 1923 to 1924, the second Transcaucasian ruble, also known as the Russian ruble. And then, of course, part of the Soviet Union. With independence, Armenia issued its own currency, the dram, with 100 luma to the dram. So these are my stamps. This is the earliest and only legitimate stamp from Armenia that I have. It's from 1919. It's a Russian stamp from 1917, overprinted with the Armenian monogram that looks a lot like a Z. But if you recall the Armenian name for Armenia, this, I think, is the first letter of Ekstan. It's also surcharged with 60k on the original 1k stamp. There are several different overprints, some like this one in black, some in blue, some with the frame around the, I'll call it a Z, some without. So some even upside down. There are quite a variety there. This set from 1920 was printed in Paris by the printers called Chassepots, hence the name the Chassepots series. It was an official set requested by the Armenian government, but before they could be issued, the Russians had taken over, and so these were not actually released legitimately by the Armenian authorities. They were sold by the French printers, I guess, to try and get some money back. The end of 1921, this set was prepared in Constantinople this time. Again, not released. And just like the previous series, though, it was sold. This one sold a lot on the black market, and for both this series and the previous one, the Shazpur series, there are lots and lots of forgeries. Now, in my small little brain, I can't quite figure out why you would want to forge a stamp that was never issued because you couldn't use it. But I guess there must have been a lot of money in it somewhere, because there are lots and lots of different forgeries of these. And if you look on the Colnect website, this set in particular, it gives a lot of information about how you can tell whether these are legitimate or forgeries. These, I think, are forgeries. This particular set was issued by the Transcaucasian Federation, but with surcharges in 1922. Talking of the Transcaucasian Federation, this is a stamp from that of 1923, showing Mount Ararat, oil rigs, and grapes and wheat by the look of it, and at the face value of 300,000 Russian rubles. So this was for use in Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, and was actually issued. And this is the most recent stamp I have. I don't have any since Armenia has become an independent country. So these are my stamps. And I'm Keith. Goodbye.